So this body cast is universal and you can use it on anything. Make sure to comment if you have any questions.
So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and do a body cast on Alicia. So we're going to go ahead and kind of get her armor built. So we're just going to use some saran wrap and wrap it a little bit tighter. We're going to try to push her bust up just a little bit more. So once the form is fitted, we're good. So just go ahead and hold that in place. And essentially we're just going to wrap her for the entire area of where we're going to want our mold.
And I'm going to try to suck it in real good because I just ate.
So once we have her wrapped, I just want to make sure that I get this saran wrap pretty much anywhere that we're going to want a stencil molded to her. Once that's in place, we'll move on to our next step, which is going to be duct tape. Next step we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and start applying duct tape. This is going to give it a little bit more rigidity so we can actually draw our stencils on it. So I'm going to come straight right underneath the bust on my first couple of pieces. And just make sure it's nice and tight. All right, now the next part we're going to do is we're going to actually outline the cup a little bit so she gets a nice good bust for her cup. With this, I'm going to use a bunch of smaller pieces, and it's just going to make it a lot easier because of all the reliefs that we're going to have to do, so it gets a good solid shape. All right, so the first step you want to do is you want to make a nice solid X. And this is going to pretty much get her bust right into place where she needs to be.
You can do stuff.
A little bit extra, so it's a little bit more rigid for me on some of the places, but one layer. So now that we have all the duct tape accomplished, we're going to go ahead and start sketching some of the lines and some of the detail, and then we'll eventually cut this body mold off of her. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and just kind of sketch out some of the main pieces of it. So I'm just going to draw a center line right down the center. Learned this trick from Evil Ted. If you haven't checked out his YouTube channel, go and do that. He does fantastic tutorials and has done many a year doing cosplay and costume making for Hollywood, so he knows a lot of the tips and tricks, and that's what me and Alicia looked at to kind of get some inspiration. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cup out pretty much the big pieces of this But I'm just doing some real quick rough sketches, so then I can come back once we cut it off of her. This for someone would be pretty basic. So all I have is my center line set here. I cupped out both of it. Gonna try to decide if we want to keep this centerpiece in here or not, or we're gonna do 2 individual cups. We'll take a look at it once we actually get the mold cut off of her. But now that we've sketched pretty much our rough lines, all we're gonna do next is go ahead and do a second piece for her actual Wonder Woman portion. So we're actually gonna do another layer of SARAN wrap on top of this, and then another layer of duct tape. We're gonna see how this works out. So we're gonna go ahead and do a second, so just go ahead and put your hands on top of your head. There you go. So we're gonna do a second one. And this will hopefully kind of bridge the gap on where we're gonna have her Wonder Woman symbol come up. Cut the body mold off. What we're going to do is we're going to draw some of the details of the Wonder Woman outfit, so for guidelines and for our forms a little bit later. But I wanted to do it while it's on her body so I can work the lines a little bit to her body itself. So we got our center line, which is a great reference, and then we just have some pretty much some basic lines coming off. And then Wonder Woman has a couple of stars over on the side. But I'm just going to kind of freehand most of this right off the bat.
Shoulder boulders.
And then you'll see she has kind of the indent that matches that part. So I just wanted to do a few of these rough kind of marks while I had it on Alicia before I went ahead and cut this off. And then we'll do more permanent reference marks later. Another thing Evil Ted taught us is you only have to detail one side, and then you can use that as your guide for making your molds.
For your other side.
Yep, and you just flip it over. Then you're not doing all kinds of crazy work on both sides. You can only just do one side, flip it over, and create your second cast.
And then it's more even. Okay guys, so now it's off me, finally. And what we're going to do, we already made our reference, so all these little lines are reference marks, and that's so when we piece it back together, it will all be even. You'll see it when we get the foam going. So you make sure to do those before.